The secret mind control tricks everyone falls for. Hello, and welcome to MT. Today, we are going to dive deep into a topic that might make you a little uncomfortable. We are going to talk about the hidden strings that pull your mind in directions you don't even notice. We are going to explore the world of psychological tricks that are so quiet, so subtle, that they sneak past your conscious brain and go straight to work on your feelings and decisions. These are not about convincing someone with a great argument. This is about what happens before the argument is even made. It is about setting the stage in someone's mind so that they are ready to say yes before you even ask the question. Think of it like magic. A magician doesn't just pull a rabbit out of a hat. First, they get your attention. They make you look at their left hand while their right hand is doing the secret work. The tricks we are talking about today are like that right hand. They are the secret work that happens in the background of your mind, preparing you to be influenced. The scariest part is that you will almost always feel like you are 100% in control, that you made a logical, conscious choice. But the reality is often very different. Before we begin, I have a simple question for you. Have you ever agreed to do something or bought something, and then a little while later you thought to yourself, why on earth did I do that? Just a simple yes or no in the comments below. I am very curious to see how many of us have felt that strange sense of post-decision confusion. Okay, let's get into it. Let's start with a big idea that will help you understand everything we are going to talk about today. I want you to imagine that you are a farmer, and your big goal is to grow a beautiful, strong plant. Your message, your request, the thing you want someone to agree to, is like a tiny seed. Now, you can have the best, most amazing seed in the entire world. It could be a seed for a tree that grows money. But if you take that perfect seed and you throw it onto hard, dry, rocky concrete, what is going to happen? Absolutely nothing. The seed will just sit there and die. It doesn't matter how good the seed is, because the ground was not ready for it. Now, what if you spent some time preparing the soil first? What if you tilled the ground, added some water, mixed in some nutrients, and made the soil soft and welcoming? If you plant that same exact seed in that perfectly prepared soil, it will sprout, grow roots, and become the strong plant you wanted. The seed itself did not change. The message was the same, but the outcome was completely different. Why? Because you took the time to prepare the environment first. This is the central secret of powerful influence. What you say or ask for is the seed. But the real work, the magic, happens in preparing the soil of the other person's mind. The most skilled persuaders on earth are not master debaters. They are master gardeners of the mind. They spend most of their time and energy preparing the mental soil so that when they finally plant their seed, it is almost guaranteed to grow. Everything we will discuss from this point on is about how to prepare that soil. It is about creating those perfect moments, those privileged moments where the other person is wide open and receptive to your message. We are going to look at the tools you need to become a master gardener of the mind, both so you can use them for good and so you can recognize when someone is trying to prepare your own mental soil for their benefit. The first tool in our mental gardening kit is understanding the immense power of what we see. Our eyes are constantly feeding information to our brains, and most of this information is processed without us even thinking about it. These visual cues in our environment can completely change how we think, what we value, and what we decide to do, all without our permission. Let's think about a simple experiment. Imagine a group of researchers want to sell furniture from an online store. They create two different versions of their website. For the first half of the visitors, the background picture of the website is a beautiful blue sky filled with soft, puffy white clouds. It looks calm and comfortable. For the other half of the visitors, the background picture is a pattern made of shiny gold coins. Now, the furniture for sale is exactly the same on both versions of the site. The prices are the same, the descriptions are the same. Everything is identical except for that one background picture. What do you think happened? The people who saw the background with the soft clouds started looking for furniture that was comfortable. They clicked on sofas described as plush, soft, and cozy. Their main goal was to find the most comfortable furniture possible. Price was a secondary concern, but the people who saw the background with the shiny coins behaved completely differently. They immediately started sorting the furniture by price. They were looking for bargains, for the cheapest options available. Their main goal was to save money. Comfort was not their top priority. After they made their purchases, the researchers asked them a simple question. Did the background image of the website influence your decision? Every single person from both groups said no. Many of them even laughed at the idea. They said things like, "Of course not, I am a smart shopper. I know what I want. A picture of a cloud or a coin isn't going to change my mind." But the data showed that it absolutely did. Their brains saw the clouds and thought, comfort. Their brains saw the coins and thought, money. This happened instantly and automatically. They were like puppets, and the background image was the string. This happens in the real world all the time. Let's go back to that story of the handsome man trying to get phone numbers from women in a shopping mall. He had a lot more success when he approached women who were standing right in front of a flower shop. Why? Flowers are a powerful symbol of romance, love, and courtship. When a woman was near a flower shop, her brain was already swimming in the idea of romance, even if she wasn't consciously thinking about it. The soil of her mind was prepared. So when a charming stranger came up and asked for her number, the idea didn't seem so strange. It fit the romantic mood that the flowers had already created. If he had asked her in front of a hardware store, the context would be all wrong. The soil would be hard and rocky. But in front of the flower shop, the soil was soft and ready. And just like the furniture shoppers, when these women were asked if the flower shop had anything to do with their decision, they all denied it. They believed their decision was a product of pure logic and personal feeling in that moment. Think about another example. A group of people are asked to perform a difficult analytical task, like solving a bunch of tough puzzles. If, in the corner of the room or on the corner of their computer screen, there is a small picture of a man in a classic thinking pose, like that famous statue, the Thinker, the people in the room will perform better on the task. They will be more careful, more thoughtful, and they will make fewer mistakes. The picture silently tells their brain, "This is a time for deep thought. Be smart." On the other hand, if you show them a picture of someone winning a race right before they start the task, they will work faster and feel more motivated to succeed. The image primes their brain for competition and victory. These are not small effects. They are powerful and consistent. What this means is that the world around us is constantly shaping our thoughts in ways we do not realize. The posters on the wall of an office, the background image on your computer, the objects on a person's desk. They are all sending silent messages to your brain. They are preparing your mental soil. If an office is decorated with words like success, winning, and achieve, the people working there will subconsciously become more goal-oriented. If a charity's website is filled with pictures of sad, lonely people, your brain will be primed for empathy and you will be more likely to donate. We think we are making our own decisions, but often our environment has already made a huge part of that decision for us. Now, let's move on to our second tool, which is just as powerful as visual cues: the magic of words. Words are not just sounds or letters on a page. They are triggers. The right word at the right time can flip a switch in someone's brain, changing their entire perspective without them ever realizing what happened. Consider the story of the struggling salesperson. He was trying to sell a very good product for $75,000. It was a fair price for the value it offered, but he kept running into a wall. Every time he mentioned the price, the client would flinch. They would say it was too much and try to negotiate for a lower price. If they couldn't get a discount, they would walk away. The salesperson was losing a lot of business. He was frustrated because he knew the product was worth the price. Then, he made one tiny change to his presentation. It was so small it seems almost silly. Right before he was about to say the price, he would pause, smile, and say a little joke. He would say, "And for all of this, I'm not going to charge you $1 million for it." Then he would reveal the real price of $75,000. What happened next was incredible. Almost nobody complained about the price anymore. The negotiations stopped. People saw $75,000 and thought it was a reasonable, even good price. Why? Did the product change? No. Did the price change? No. What changed was the context. By first mentioning the completely absurd number of $1 million, he created what is called an anchor in the client's mind. The brain hears $1 million, and that number sticks there for a second. Then, when the brain hears $75,000, it immediately compares the two. And compared to $1 million, $75,000 seems tiny. It seems like a bargain. This anchoring effect is a glitch in our brain's programming. Our minds don't know how to value things in a vacuum. We need to compare things to something else. And the first number we hear often becomes the reference point for everything that follows. Real estate agents use this all the time. They might show you an overpriced, rundown house first. After seeing that terrible house, the next house they show you, which is just okay and slightly overpriced, will look like a palace. Your brain is anchored to the first bad house, so the second one seems much better than it actually is. But it's not just about numbers. The specific words you choose can change a person's identity in a given moment. Let's look at the energy drink experiment. Marketers wanted people in a shopping mall to try their new energy drink and give feedback. This is a tough sell. Most people are hesitant to try a new, unknown product. Understandably, many people said no, so the marketers tried a different approach. They prepared the soil. Before they asked people to try the drink, they first asked them a simple question. Do you consider yourself an adventurous person? Someone who likes to try new things? Most people want to see themselves as adventurous and open-minded. So, a large number of them said, yes, I am adventurous. A few moments later, when the marketers said, great, then you'll be perfect to try our brand new exciting energy drink, what could the person say? They had just declared themselves to be adventurous. To say no now would be to contradict themselves. It would create a feeling of mental discomfort. So, to stay consistent with the identity they had just claimed, a much larger number of people agreed to try the drink. The question, "Are you adventurous?" was the masterstroke. It was not a question about the drink. It was a question that made the person define themselves. Once they put on the adventurous label, they felt a powerful subconscious urge to act like an adventurous person. This happens all the time. If you want someone's help, you could start by saying, "You've always struck me as a very generous and helpful person." By saying this, you are handing them a positive label. They will feel a strong pull to live up to that label when you make your request moments later. You have prepared the soil by defining who they are in that specific context. Think about the difference between asking for feedback and asking for advice. These two words seem similar, but they create completely different mental states. When you ask for someone's opinion or feedback, you are placing them on the opposite side of the table from you. They become a critic, a judge. They take a step back and look at your idea from a distance. But when you ask for someone's advice, you are inviting them to be your partner. You are putting them on the same team. The word advice makes people feel like they are collaborating with you. They take a step forward towards you and start thinking about the problem from your perspective. It creates a sense of togetherness, which is a powerful state of mind to create before you try to persuade someone. The word itself prepares the soil for cooperation. This brings us to our third and perhaps most powerful tool for preparing the mind, creating a feeling of us. There is no force in human psychology more powerful than the bond of a shared identity. When we feel that someone is part of our tribe, part of our team, part of our us, our defenses come down. We trust them more, we like them more, and we are far more willing to say yes to them. The most persuasive people are masters at showing you that they are just like you, before they ever try to persuade you. This is the principle of unity. It is the feeling that we share something fundamental with another person. The strongest form of unity is family. We will do almost anything for our family members, often without even thinking about it. That instinct is incredibly powerful. And savvy influencers know how to tap into that family instinct, even with total strangers. Remember the banker who was trying to sell an investment product? He could have just listed the features and benefits, the return on investment, the risk profile. That would be the logical approach. But instead, right before he described a particular product, he leaned in and said something that changed everything. He said, "Now, this next product I'm going to tell you about is the one I would recommend even to my own mother." Instantly, the entire dynamic of the conversation shifted. By mentioning his mother, he wasn't talking about finance anymore. He was talking about trust, care, and family. He was silently communicating, "I am advising you in the same way I would advise someone I love and want to protect. In this moment, I am treating you like family." This simple sentence activated the powerful unity principle. It created an instant bond of trust that no amount of data or charts could ever achieve. He was no longer just a banker, he was a trusted advisor, almost like a family member. A famous investor, one of the richest men in the world, once had to reassure the shareholders of his company about what would happen after he was gone. This was a huge concern for people who had invested their life savings with him. He could have given a complex corporate presentation about succession plans and management structures. Instead, in a letter to his shareholders, he wrote, "I will tell you what I would say to my family today if they asked me about the company's future." With that one sentence, he transformed a corporate memo into a piece of intimate, heartfelt advice. He was saying, "We are in this together. You are part of my extended family, and I am giving you the same honest advice I give to my own blood relatives." The effect was profoundly convincing. This principle can be used in smaller, everyday situations as well. Think about the college professor who needed his students' parents to fill out a long survey. Getting parents to do this kind of thing is very difficult. Usually the response rate is terrible, often less than 20%. The professor decided to try a little experiment based on the unity principle. He told his students they would get one single extra credit point on one test if they could get their parents to complete the survey. Now, let's be realistic. 1 point on one test in a semester-long class is practically worthless. It would almost never have any impact on a student's final grade. It is a tiny, insignificant reward. Logically, it shouldn't have worked. But it worked like a charm. The parent response rate shot up from under 20% to a near-perfect 97%. Why? Because the professor didn't frame it as the student earning a reward for themselves. He framed it as the student needing help from their family. By invoking the idea of helping a family member, even for a trivial reason, he tapped into that deep, powerful instinct to support our kin. The parents weren't filling out the survey for the point, they were filling it out because their child had asked for their help. It was a family matter. You can create this feeling of unity in many ways. It doesn't always have to be about family. It can be based on a shared location. If you find out you and a client grew up in the same small town, mentioning that creates an instant bond. "You're from Ohio too? I grew up just an hour from there." Suddenly, you are not just a salesperson, you are a fellow Ohioan. You are part of the same tribe. It can be based on shared experiences. Two people who have both successfully quit smoking share a unique bond. Two parents who both have young children share a bond. Highlighting these commonalities before you make a request prepares the soil by building a bridge of us. Even something as simple as using language like "we" and "our team" instead of "you" and "I" can help build this sense of shared purpose. The feeling of togetherness is so primitive that it affects us even when we are babies. In one amazing study, researchers showed groups of 18-month-old toddlers a picture. For one group, the picture was of a single person. For another group, it was two people standing near each other but separately. For the third group, it was a picture of two people standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder, looking like a team. After seeing the picture, a researcher in the room would accidentally drop a bunch of pencils on the floor. The question was, which babies would be most likely to crawl over and help pick them up? The results were stunning. In the first two groups, only a small fraction of the toddlers helped. But in the group that saw the picture of the two people standing together, the number of toddlers who helped was 3 times higher. Think about that. These were babies who could barely talk. They had no complex logical reasoning, but just seeing a simple image of togetherness for a few seconds was enough to prime their brains to be more helpful and cooperative. This shows how deeply wired this instinct is in our brains. When our subconscious mind sees signals of unity and togetherness, it automatically shifts us into a more helpful, trusting state. The soil of our mind becomes ready for cooperation. The fourth major tool is the simple but profound power of attention. Whatever we are paying attention to at any given moment becomes more important to us. Our brain has a built-in spotlight, and whatever that spotlight is shining on seems bigger, more significant, and more true than everything else that is in the dark. A master of influence doesn't try to win an argument. They simply guide your spotlight of attention to the place that will help their cause. Think of your attention as a camera lens. If you focus the camera on a beautiful flower, the flower fills the frame and looks stunning. The messy garbage can just a few feet away is out of focus and blurry. You barely even notice it. But if you shift your focus to the garbage can, it suddenly becomes the main subject, and the beautiful flower fades into the background. The reality didn't change, but your perception of reality changed completely based on where you pointed your camera. This is exactly how persuasion works. Before delivering a message, a persuader will try to direct your mental camera lens towards a concept, a memory, or an emotion that will make their message seem more appealing. For example, if someone is about to ask you for a big favor, they might first start a conversation about a time you helped someone else, and it went really well. They might say, "Hey, remember that time you helped Sarah move? That was so incredibly generous of you. She still talks about it." By doing this, they are shining your spotlight of attention on your own generosity. You start thinking of yourself as a generous, helpful person. Your own past actions are brought to the front of your mind. Then, when they ask for their favor, you are already in a generous person mindset. Saying no would feel inconsistent with the version of yourself that you are currently focused on. This is what happened in the experiment with the salary raise. The advice was to ask for a raise right after you have had a big success at work, or right after a client has given you glowing feedback. Why? Because at that moment, your boss's spotlight of attention is shining brightly on your value, your competence, and your achievements. Your positive contributions are in sharp focus. This is the moment when the soil is perfectly prepared. Your value is the most important thing in their mind. If you wait a few weeks, their attention will have moved on to other problems, other employees, other deadlines. Your big achievement will have faded into the background. The request for a raise might still be logical, but the timing will be wrong because their mental spotlight is pointing somewhere else. This principle of directing attention also explains why advertisers focus on different things for different audiences. If they are selling a car to a young, single person, the advertisement will be full of images of speed, freedom, and fun. They are focusing the buyer's attention on excitement. If they are selling the exact same car to a parent with young children, the advertisement will be full of images of safety features, car seats, and happy families. They are focusing the buyer's attention on security. The car hasn't changed, but by directing the customer's attention, they have completely changed what the customer values in that moment. You can use this in your own life in positive ways. Let's say you need to have a difficult conversation with your partner about finances. If you start the conversation by saying, "We need to talk about your spending," you are immediately shining the spotlight on a problem and putting them on the defensive. The soil is prepared for an argument. But what if you started by saying, "I was just thinking about that amazing vacation we want to take together next year. How can we work as a team to make that dream a reality?" Now, you are shining the spotlight on a shared, positive goal. You have focused their attention on teamwork and a happy future. The soil is now prepared for a collaborative, productive conversation. The topic is still finances, but the frame of attention has made all the difference. The master persuader knows that the person who controls the focus controls the decision. So, now that we understand these core principles, the power of visuals, the magic of words, the bond of unity, and the focus of attention, how can we put this all together into a practical guide? How can we become the ethical and effective gardeners of the mind that we talked about? Here is a much more detailed list of strategies and techniques you can start using. We will go far beyond the simple tips and really break down how to apply these powerful ideas. 1. Architect your own environment for success. This is about applying these principles to yourself first. We now know that the images and words around us subconsciously shape our thoughts and actions. So, stop leaving your own mindset to chance. Take conscious control of your environment. What is your biggest goal right now? Is it to get healthier? Then change the background on your phone to a picture of someone who is in great shape, or a picture of a healthy meal you love. Put a sticky note on your bathroom mirror that says, "I make healthy choices today." Put your running shoes right by the front door where you can't miss them. These are not just silly motivational tricks. They are constant, silent visual cues that prime your brain to think about health. Every time you see them, you are watering the soil of your own mind for fitness. If your goal is to save more money, print out a picture of the thing you are saving for, the house, the car, the vacation, and put it somewhere you see it every day, like on your desk or your refrigerator. Make your goal visible, and your brain will start paying more attention to it. Listen to music that matches the task you are doing. If you need to do deep, focused work, search for music for concentration. If you need to be creative, find music that inspires you. You are the architect of your own mental state. Build an environment that automatically guides your attention towards your goals. 2. Master the art of the pre-conversational question. We saw how effective this was with the "Are you adventurous?" question. Before you make a request, think about the mindset you need the other person to be in. Do you need them to be helpful, cooperative, open-minded, honest? Once you know the mindset you want to create, craft a question that leads them to adopt that identity. If you want a coworker to be more cooperative on a project, don't start by complaining about the problem. Start with a question like, "You've been here longer than me. What do you think is the best way for us to work together to get this done?" This question frames them as an experienced expert and you as someone seeking their wise counsel. It primes them for cooperation. If you need to ask a friend for a brutally honest opinion, you could start by saying, "I've always valued that you're one of the few people who will tell me the truth, no matter what. Can I ask you for your honest opinion on something?" You have now primed them to be honest. It will be much harder for them to sugarcoat their answer after you've complimented their honesty. 3. Use the power of because. This is a fascinating psychological quirk. People are far more likely to agree to a request if you give them a reason, even if the reason is not very good. In a famous study, researchers tried to cut in line at a copy machine. When they just said, "Excuse me, can I use the photocopier?" they were successful about 60% of the time. When they changed their request to, "Excuse me, can I use the photocopier because I'm in a rush?" their success rate jumped to over 90%. That makes sense. Being in a rush is a good reason. But here's the crazy part. They tried a third version. "Excuse me, can I use the photocopier because I need to make some copies?" That is a terrible reason. Of course you need to make copies. That's what a photocopier is for. But even with that completely meaningless reason, their success rate was still over 90%. The word because is a trigger. It signals to our brain that a logical reason is coming, and our brain often just accepts it without carefully analyzing the reason itself. It's a mental shortcut. So, whenever you make a request, try to add a because. It doesn't have to be a brilliant reason, just a reason. "Could you send me that report because I want to look at it before the meeting?" is much more effective than just, "Could you send me that report?" 4. Give gifts to the family, not the person. We touched on this with the professor experiment, but let's expand it. The principle of unity with family is incredibly strong. If you are in a business where you give gifts to clients, consider restructuring your gift giving. Instead of giving your client a bottle of wine, find out if they have children and send a fun gift for their kids. Or, if you know they have a pet, send a gourmet treat for their dog. This does a few things. First, it's unexpected and memorable. Second, it shows that you see them as a whole person, not just a business transaction. But most importantly, it activates that powerful feeling of family unity. You have done something nice for their tribe. This creates a much deeper sense of connection and reciprocity than a standard corporate gift ever could. They will feel a stronger bond with you because you have recognized and honored the most important unit in their life. 5. Turn critics into advisors. This is the practical application of asking for advice instead of feedback. If you have an idea, a product, or a project, and you want to get someone's buy-in, especially someone who you think might be skeptical, do not present it to them and ask for their opinion. That sets them up to be an adversary. Instead, go to them early in the process and say, "I'm working on something new, and I'm a bit stuck. I really respect your experience in this area, and I was hoping you could give me some advice." This completely changes the dynamic. You have honored their expertise, shown vulnerability, and invited them to be a co-creator with you. They are no longer judging your finished product, they are helping you shape it. Once someone has given you advice that you incorporate, they become psychologically invested in the project's success. It is now their project too. They will defend it and support it because their advice is part of its DNA. 6. Find and highlight uncommon commonalities. Creating unity is all about finding a we. Most people stop at the obvious things, like being from the same city or liking the same sports team. To create a truly powerful bond, try to find uncommon commonalities. These are the things you share that most people don't. For example, maybe you both have the same unusual hobby, like beekeeping or collecting vintage maps. Maybe you both have the same rare breed of dog. Maybe you both have traveled to the same obscure country. When you discover one of these, it creates a much stronger feeling of us because it is exclusive. It makes the other person feel like, wow, you're one of the few people who really gets this part of me. It creates an instant and memorable connection that makes you stand out from everyone else. So, be curious, ask questions, and listen carefully. You might just find a key that unlocks a powerful bond of unity. 7. Master the power of timing. This is about more than just asking for a raise after a success. It is about understanding that a person's receptiveness changes throughout the day and week. For example, research suggests that people are more likely to be agreeable and open to new ideas right after they have eaten a meal. This is why so many important business deals are made over lunch. When our bodies are satisfied, our minds are more relaxed and less defensive. Conversely, asking for something important when someone is hungry, tired, or stressed is like planting your seed in concrete. Pay attention to the rhythms of the people around you. Is your boss always in a bad mood on Monday mornings? Then don't ask for anything important then. Do they seem more relaxed and cheerful on Friday afternoons? That might be your golden opportunity. Thinking like a mental gardener means paying attention to the seasons of the mind. 8. Use storytelling to transport them. Facts and figures speak to the logical mind, but stories speak to the emotional mind. Before you present your big idea or make your important request, tell a story that primes the emotional state you want them to be in. If you want them to be more generous, start by telling a short, touching story about someone who was helped by a small act of kindness. This story prepares the soil by warming their heart and putting them in an empathetic mood. If you want them to be brave and take a risk, tell a story about someone who faced their fears and achieved something amazing. The story creates the feeling you want them to feel before you even ask them to feel it. A well-told story is like a guided meditation. It can transport the listener to a different mental and emotional place, a place where they are much more receptive to your message. 9. Always bring the focus back to we. The language you use is a powerful tool for building unity. Make a conscious effort to use words like we, us, and our whenever possible. Instead of saying, if you approve my proposal, I will be able to achieve, try saying, if we move forward with this proposal, our team will be able to achieve. This subtle shift in language constantly reinforces the idea that you are on the same team, working towards a shared goal. It is not about you versus them. It is about us together. This collaborative framing makes people lower their guard and makes your ideas feel less like a personal agenda and more like a collective mission. 10. Set the stage for your price. We learned this from the $1 million anchoring trick. Never just state a high price in a vacuum. You need to prepare the ground first. You can do this by talking about the immense value, the incredible amount of work that went into it, or the amazing results it will create. Another powerful technique is to present a more expensive option first. If you have 3 tiers of service, always present the most expensive, platinum option first. Most people won't buy it, but it sets a high anchor price in their mind. Then, when you present the middle tier gold option, it will look much more reasonable and affordable in comparison. You have framed it as a smart, practical choice compared to the ultra premium option. Now, with all this power comes a great responsibility. It is crucial to talk about the shield of awareness. These techniques are all around us, every single day. Marketers, politicians, salespeople, and even our friends and family use them, sometimes without even realizing it. Your goal should be twofold. First, to use these techniques ethically to become a more effective and positive communicator, and second, to build a mental defense system to protect yourself from unwanted influence. The most important thing to remember is that you are not immune. No one is. It doesn't matter how smart you think you are. As we saw with the baby experiment, these triggers operate on a very primitive, subconscious level. Your logical brain is the last one to get the message, so awareness is your only true shield. Here is how you can start building that shield. The first step is to recognize the feeling. You know that feeling we talked about at the very beginning? The one where you agree to something and then wonder why you did it? That feeling is your internal alarm bell. When you feel a strong, sudden urge to say yes, especially to a big request, that is a signal to pause. When you feel an intense emotion, like guilt, excitement, fear, or obligation, pushing you towards a decision, that is a signal to pause. These strong emotions are often a sign that your mental soil has been expertly prepared. The single most powerful self-defense tactic is to create time and space. Never let yourself be rushed into a big decision. Manipulative persuaders love to create a sense of urgency. They will say things like, "This offer is only good for today," or "I need an answer right now." This is a giant red flag. They are trying to pressure you into deciding while you are still under the spell of their persuasion. Your response should always be the same. Learn to say this magical phrase, "Thank you for the information. I need some time to think about it. I will get back to you tomorrow." This phrase is your shield. It pulls you out of the immediate situation. It gives the emotional fog a chance to clear. When you step away, you can ask yourself some simple, logical questions. 1. Why am I really considering this? Is it because the request itself makes logical sense? Or is it because of how the person made me feel? Try to separate the message from the messenger and the environment. 2. What happened right before the request was made? Did they give me a compliment? Did they remind me of a favor they did for me? Did they tell a sad story? Did they mention we went to the same high school? Try to retrace the steps of the conversation and identify the soil preparation techniques. Just seeing the trick laid bare is often enough to break its spell. 3. If the situation were different, would I still say yes? For example, if this request came in a boring email instead of from a charming person in a beautiful office, would I still be so eager to agree? Try to remove the context and look at the request on its own merits. Finally, let's talk about the ethics of using these tools. You might be thinking that you can use these tricks to get whatever you want from people. And in the short term, you might be right. But using these techniques unethically is like building a house on a foundation of sand. It will eventually collapse. If you manipulate your customers, your employees will see it. They will learn that this is how your company operates, and then they will start using the same sneaky techniques on you. If you manipulate your friends, they might say yes once or twice, but eventually they will feel used. You will destroy the trust that is the foundation of any real relationship. The ethical use of these principles is about creating win-win situations. It is about aligning your message with the other person's true values and goals. It is about using unity to build genuine teams, not fake ones. It is about using attention to help people focus on the most important and positive aspects of a decision. It is about turning persuasion into a process of mutual understanding and cooperation. Used this way, these tools can help you become a better leader, a better partner, a better parent, and a more positive force in the world. They are not about tricking people into doing what you want. They are about creating the conditions where people want to do what is best for everyone involved. The goal is not manipulation, it is connection. So the next time you walk into a store, watch an advertisement, or have an important conversation, keep your eyes open. Notice the pictures on the wall. Listen to the specific words being used. Pay attention to what the other person does or says right before they make their big ask. You will start to see these master gardeners of the mind everywhere, preparing the soil. And by seeing them, you will not only protect yourself, but you will also learn how to ethically and effectively plant your own seeds for positive change. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. I hope this deep dive has opened your eyes to the invisible forces that shape our decisions. If you learned something valuable in this video that you can use in your life, please consider subscribing to MT for more content that helps you understand the world and yourself a little better. I'll see you in the next one.